One small climb before we get onto the circuit. That'll come at Germantown and take us through 80 kilometres. Well, there's no doubt that the Radio Shack team have come up to the table here to help out. The ochre-coloured McEwen just back there.
The white jersey there on the shoulders of Luke Roberts. That's for the Skoda King of the Mountains classification. Now, there's 4 riders up the road, and as far as Luke Roberts is concerned, Phil, he's got to keep chipping away at these lesser points if he wants to stay in the lead of that competition.
Yes, he has. He's lucky enough that these 4 riders up front haven't got points in the King of the Mountains at the moment, so he should be safe for at least one more day, but he doesn't want people closing in too much. Here we are, just 200 metres from the top. There hasn't been an attack at all on the climb today. The peloton are at 2 minutes 22 seconds. And just look at this. Durbridge is not even waiting to see who wants to take the points. He's off like a scalded cat here. And so the teammate of Luke Roberts will take away the points and put them in the UniSA squad bank.
Well, he might not be that fast on the flatter sprints, but he's very strong at the top of this climb here. He's taking himself maximum points, and again, climbing up the leaders board in this overall competition. UniSA thing, Phil, I think have decided at the start of this race they want to take this title all the way down to Adelaide.
There's a good downhill section now where they can gather speed and freewheel before they join the circuit, which will take them up to the finishing line first time. Then we'll do 2 circuits around Stirling before we come through. There's the peloton. They've gone through. I make the time gap 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and they are very much all together here. One feels they have the breakaway under control. 2.5 minutes is not enough to stay away, really, all the way to the finish. When you know the nature of this finishing circuit, and they get the chance to see the approach to the finishing line here, and they'll come through here 2 more times. The second time will be the finish.
It's a very testing course here around Stirling, and you think you're climbing up to the finish line and it's all the way past the finish line and continues even further around the course. It really is a leg breaker.
Well, as they go through the Powerade hydration station here, they need plenty of water for what remains. Just about 58 kilometres of the day's racing on 2 big circuits around Stirling, but they're undulating, and if there's a weak man down there, he'll be certainly sorted out on these 2 finishing circuits. 3 riders are clear, well, 4 riders are clear. There are 3 chasing, by the way, but they're about to be picked up by the peloton, which means it will once again be 4 escapees being chased by the big pack. And the usual question is, will they hold them off? And again, time to perfection. The leaders have been swept up by the whole peloton here as they make the final lap.
There's a crash.
And there's a massive crash there. And we're still a long way from the finish here. So we'll see who's left lying in the road. Everybody's looking over the shoulders. Once again, the sound of tangling metal. And this, in fact, is Edward Vorganoff who's gone down. He's one of them.
Well, that was right at the front end of the main field, Phil, and that's just the tension, I think, that all of these sprinters are under at the moment. You can see moving up there, Omega Pharma Lotto. That must mean that Andre Greipel is in good form this afternoon. Number 11, doing a lot of pacemaking at the front, is Lance Armstrong himself, trying to preserve the position of Robbie McEwen.
Well, Armstrong is reverted to a teammate from a team leader here, and this is trouble at the back because this is Matthew Goss running for the spur bike and grabbing one off the car. That was a bad time for the cyclist said best young rider leader to have what appeared to be a flat tyre.
Well, this is Mount Lofty towering above the Adelaide Hills.
Yes, and there's stunning views here of Adelaide around the region of the entire Adelaide coastline. Just over 700 metres above sea level is Mount Lofty. Visibility extends to as far as Kangaroo Island on good clear days. These boys just concentrating on the man in front just now because this is Matthew Goss coming back to the field.
Helped there by his erstwhile teammate there, Bernie Eisel, always ready to come and help the team if they can. Now, this is a very difficult time to have such an incident. It's going to take a lot of energy out of those legs of his for the final sprint of the day. There is the main field, but I tell you what, Phil, those last few metres are very difficult to nail back, and then he's got to get to the front of the pack.
But the benefit of having a great team around you, and HTC High Road is just that, and he'll be safely back now. There's a move here because this looks like Aitor Perez of Lamprey. He's been joined by Ben Hermans in second place, and I thought I saw there, Paul, Richie Port coming up.
Well, there was a light blue and black jersey which would say Saxo Bank.
Well, there he is, and that is Richie Port as he flashes through the screen, and he's being joined here now by a Garmin rider, Travis Meyer's gone through. This is a strong lineup here. We're on the long, steady drag up towards the finish.
Well, this is a very good move indeed, and that's going to rattle the sprinters. But look at that. There's the front end of the main field stretched out into an incredibly long line. The pressure is seriously on now.
Well, it's going to be, I think, a bunch sprint, but everybody's going to try and cause disarray to distract the sprinters' teams from lining them up for the finish, because this is a long, steady climb up towards the line today, but they've seen it twice already. They know what's coming at them.
It's always a very difficult one to judge. If you go too early, you find the legs give up at about 40 or 50 metres to go, and you see the other guys just coming past you. You've got to get it right, and you've got to make sure you can hold back until the last moment to keep all of those legs firing up to the line.
Well, I heard Graham Brown also involved in that sprint, so in that crash earlier, and that's another sprinter gone down, but he's back in the pack as far as we know. Looks like only 2 survivors. The peloton reacting very quickly. This has been a difficult day for Radio Shack to try and keep control of this race. Richie Port persists. Radio Shack's Hermans, he's the policeman. He's not helping Porter because he wants the pack to come back and put it favour McEwen.
Well, he's just sitting there hoping that Robbie McEwen can come out and get the goods here this afternoon. 3 riders in exactly the same time at the top of the leaderboard. Ben Swift, Robbie McEwen, and of course Matty Goss.
Richie Port here, another Tasmanian who's come over from triathlons and best young rider in the Giro d'Italia last year. First time that's been won by an Aussie, and he finished 7th in that race. He'll expect his ride in the Tour de France this year. But as we go through the roundabouts here, heading up that long climb, Port knows now they're going to come and snap him up because Hermans is offering nothing to the chase. That's his job.
Well, they're going to see very shortly the 1 kilometre to go banner underneath the little banner there. That's about 1.5 kilometres to go. In fact, strangely enough, Phil, it's Euskaltel Euskadi on the front end of the main field. That's the Basque team. They don't have too many great sprinters, but you can be certain that all of the sprinters are now queuing up, waiting for the right moment to move.
You know, Richie was saying before the start, don't expect too much from him. He was still in the early parts of his preparation, but he's ridden very determinedly here. But it now looks as though Vacon Soleil is trying pretty hard as well. He's crossing the gap. We're going to have 3 riders up here now. Not just crossing the gap, he's gone straight by.
Well, it's a good time to hit everybody. There's a lot of Omega Pharma Lotto on the front, though. They must obviously be looking after Andre Greipel. He hasn't opened up his account yet, Phil, here at the Tour Down Under, and I think that will be having smarting.
Well, we'll see who this is coming through here now, but I think it might well be Ongarato who may be having a little dig. But they've swept him up again. It's Ben Hermans who's looking to see who's going to help. Well, the Omega Pharma Lotto coming through now, and that's for Greipel for the sprint.
Yeah, watch out for the turquoise jerseys as well, because that's Astana, and that could be a sign that Alan Davis is looking for sprinting legs here this afternoon. Alan Davis, he's won on this finishing line previously.
Now, they've got to be careful and pay attention here because it's a long climb to the finish, and the judges, I think, will split time the big peloton today, and they must watch out for that. You can lose 1 or 2 seconds. That could cost you the race.
Well, that was Bobrich on the front in his national champions jersey, just trying to keep the pace nice and high, and that will be for his own teammates. Now, other people starting to take over the pacemaking. The sprinters now are going to have to play that waiting game, because this is starting to get tough.
Under the banner now the sprint is opening up. Euskaltel Euskadi, the only Portuguese rider ever to win the stage. The Tour Down Under gave us a surprise result, Cardoso, last year. He's now on the same team as Robin McEwen. McEwen nowhere to be seen as they come up here, and bursting through, it's Rabobank's young man, Michael Matthews. They're not going to catch him. He has won the stage, and he's not yet 21 years of age. That is an amazing win for the first-year professional. The under-23 world champion gets the win. Well,
he did, but I saw Andre Greipel in 2nd place. Let's have a look at this again, because 3rd and 4th place are going to be extremely important, because I have a funny feeling there Matty Gosville is moving himself up there. He's looking for a bonus point or 2 if he can. He's got himself a 3rd place across the line. There is Greipel just coming up, digging very deep to get himself 2nd place. Michael Matthews, I tell you what, that was a very easy win for him.
Well, that is a tremendous start, and the Australian teams and the English-speaking teams should be kicking themselves here, because they allowed this man to sign for the Dutch Rabobank squad. And a good result for Michael Matthews in his first Pro Tour event. This is the back of the field. Mark Cavendish losing 12 minutes. Let's hear from the winner today.
Michael, first big Pro Tour race and first big Pro Tour win.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. My team worked really well for me today. Couldn't have done it without him, and last 3k, Tom was leading me all out to the front. I was like 50th wheel with about 4k to go, and Tom leads it, just rode me straight to the front, and we'll be in perfect position for the sprint.